and my capstone topic is the hidden lies of social media self. So today I will discuss how social media affects teenagers' self-identity and may lead to self-deception. For teenagers, social media has become an important part of their daily life, and they will spend multiple hours online every day. So it has a strong effect on teenagers' self-perception and how they think about others. Social media like TikTok and Instagram usually show the most attractive and perfect aspect of people's life. So it creates a lot of unrealistic standards. So some teenagers will feel stressed to reach these expectations. They are starting to compare themselves with others, and they will create an ideal self-image on the internet. So over the time, this will weaken their sense of self-identity and leads them to self-deception. Also, it will make them believe the image that they post online is their real identity. So my capstone project goal is to help teenagers to better understand how social media shapes their identity and help teenagers to understand the difference between their real identity and their online identity. So I choose this topic because I have done some research on self-deception before, and I wrote a paper that I post on Google Scholar. So this time I want to use this capstone opportunity to delve in depth into the study of self-deception. And at the same time, it is directly connected to my life and experience. I noticed that my friends and classmates around me are often edited their photo or post the moments that make them look perfect online. And I will even edit the photo before I post them online and compare myself with others. Through these things, I realized that social media can distort teenagers' perception of themselves and sometimes will encourage them to have a false or idealized self-image. This problem inspired me to study how social media affects teenagers and how these patterns form. I choose to focus on teenagers rather than adults for my capstone because teenagers are using social media more frequently and are easier to influence. According to the statistic on teenagers, at the age of 13 to 17 years old, 97% of teens are using social media. And approximately 64% of teenagers are almost every day online. And they spend an average of about 4.8 hours on social media per day. According to the research by Godfrey and his group members in 2025, it showed that adults under the age of 30 use multiple social media less frequently. And there are only 8% of adults over 65 who use multiple social media. Because teenagers are still building their self-awareness compared to adults who already have establish a stable identity. So teenagers are more easy to have self-deception and negative self-perception. So the way that teenagers use social media is closely related to how they identity themselves. So based on all the impacts, the main question of my capstone is how can social media use leads to self-deception problem among teenagers and affect their self-identity. Next, I will introduce my research process. One of the main reasons that influence teenager behavior on how to use social media is that they are exposed to unrealistic aesthetic standards. Because many posts are being edited, teenagers will compare themselves with others. According to Vante in 2020, it shows that these aesthetic standards encountered on social media can lead to negative views of one's image and cause dissatisfaction among people, especially young users. So also teenagers often compare their lifestyles, appearance, and popularity with others on social media. This behavior will decrease their self-confidence. In 2025, Klein and Arnie showed that this comparison behavior is closely related to negative self-perception and emotional stress. The reason why teenagers are more likely to be influenced by these factors is because they are sensitive on social perception and value on their peers. Unlike adults, they are a more stable identity and self-esteem. Teenagers are still forming their identity, so they are more easy to be influenced by the things on social media. Similarly, in 2025, Noor and his group members emphasized that they have a close relationship between false self-presentation and social comparison. When teenagers compare themselves with others' life created by their peers, it will increase their anxiety and they will place the more reliance on social media and distorted self-perception. Teenagers who are more likely to compare are more likely to distort their online identity to fit the social standard. So the aesthetic ideal and the social comparison in the social media are significantly affect teenagers' self-image, increase their dissatisfaction with their self-image, and leads them to self-deception. And also, the use of social media is closely related to self-esteem and mental health. A study in 2025 by Sina Rolu and her group members showed that the higher the degree of dependency on social media, the lower the individual's self-esteem, and the more negative self-perception. Teenagers often go through likes, comments, and follows to have self-esteem. This leads teenagers' self-esteem to no longer be based on their own beliefs, but rather than others' evaluation. And additionally, in 2020, Osmig and other researchers indicate that people use social media to regulate emotion and achieve personal goals. However, those with weak emotional regulation ability or who frequently compare themselves with others are more likely to use social media. This forms a vicious cycle. Teenagers rely on social media comfort, but in reality, it shows their self-esteem levels. And another research in 2025 by Noor and his group members, they point out that false self-presentation and social comparison can intensify emotional stress and leads to over-reliance on social media. Teenagers feel that they should be perfect online. This will affect their performance in real life. It shows that social media is not the only communication tool. It is also a powerful psychological environment that can reshape the identity and the self-esteem of teenagers. And another important issue is how social media contribute to self-deception. Teenagers constantly present an ideal and perfect image of themselves on social media. They will gradually believe the image that they post online is their real identity. This leads to disconnect between their true self and their ideal self. According to the research by Young and Crispy in 2025, the research showed that social media can affect the social brain and then influence the individual perception of themselves and others. This showed that social media not only affect behavior, but it also influence cognitive process related to identity. Another research by Joe Orr and his group members in 2015 found that people with low self-esteem and more likely to present a false self on the internet. This will exacerbate self-deception because the difference between the real identity and the idealized self will continue to widen. Noor and his group members further expand that social media and the carefully crafted self-image, increasing emotional stress and dependency on social media. Teenagers will feel pressure to maintain a perfect image, even the image does not match the reality. And another research by Bala Subramani in 2023 found that there is a direct relationship between social comparison and self-deception, indicating that people who frequently compare themselves with others are more likely to distort their identity online. So it is a very important issue for teenagers to develop their identity. And according to the research by Bailey and others in 2020, found that authentic is closely linked to better mental health and overall well-being. This means that encourage teenagers to present their real identity online can reduce self-deception and improve their long-term development. And for my outcome, it will be a quick presentation for each advisory to help teenagers better understanding how social media can influence their identity and leads to self-deception. And then in this presentation, I will expand concepts such as self-concept, self-deception, and social comparison using examples that teenagers can relate it to. And the study in 2018 by Thomas Ting said that most people think they are more honest than others. This shows a self-serving bias in online communication. And another study in June or in 2015 showed that even though we all manage impressing a big mismatch between real self and online self can mess with people's heads. So the goal is to help students recognize the difference between their online identity and their real identity, to get students to think what I'm doing and what I'm showing this way on social media, and encourage them to have a good social habits. And after advisory speech, students will complete a brief questionnaire survey, and before the speech, students also need to finish a questionnaire survey. This is because, according to the research by Maura Vackett and others in 2018, said that people tend to believe and share information that fits their beliefs, even if it's incorrect. This means students need to reflect on how their thinking patterns affect the information they receive online. So we can compare the answers to the questionnaire before and after and to analyze whether their understanding of self-deception and identity development has increased, and understanding the difference between real identity and online identity. But the limitation of my capstone is that after the capstone day, when the presentation given to each advisory, students do not have enough time to do that because students need time to change their identity. So due to the time limit, it's just only possible to increase teenager cognition. And in a conclusion, social media has a strong influence how teenagers form their identity through self-deception, social comparison, and self-presentation. And teens are always build this ideal online persona, which makes them mix up their actual identity and their online identity. And as teenagers are still developing their identity, they are more easy to be influenced by these, which can affect their self-esteem and long-term identity. And however, raising awareness can help teenagers thinking more critical and cultivate a more authentic self-awareness. These are my sources, and thank you. So the speech giving to the advisor is the purpose, the goal is to raising their awareness to know that like why they will edit the photo and post them and why they will compare themselves with others. So they need to change it and they need to have a healthy social media habits to make them do not to like lead them to self-deception.
What age do you think is best for educating people to have, healthy social media habits?
I think probably 13 to 18 because I think that's the age like people use social media like very frequently. Yeah. Well, can you speak louder? I think just maybe social media or any like edited app, like Fancy Beauty to help you edit the photo so you can have a false self-image. Yeah, 等一会儿我。So the reason why people post that like edited photo or like perfect image is because like a lot of people will judge like them with like, oh, this photo looks like you are not happy or like you are not looking pretty. So that's the reason why people like always needs the perfect photo that So that the reason why they post online, the image should be perfect or should be like looks very great, because like a lot of people judging others by their post. So I think if people stop doing like judging a lot of people by their what they post on the social media, so they can present more true their true self on social media.
Hi, Susie. Has this, doing this presentation, has that changed your use of social media?
No.
Kind of as a follow-up question to Mr. Yuri's, given that you did this research, saw the impacts, and didn't make the choice yourself to do anything differently, do you feel like the responsibility to make these changes should fall on you as teenagers, or your parents, or the companies themselves in the way that they offer these products? Just knowing the way that you're addicted to, or all addicted to this technology.
I think it's me and families, I think, because if the company stopped like giving the support, they still have other methods to, like if they want to edit a photo or they want to do like perfect photos on the social media, they still have method to, they still can find out other ways. So like I think family should support, and other like people's friends around like the teenagers should support them, like not judging them, so they can be confident to post their true self on the social media. Sienna. Yes, because like social, like a lot of people using social media, like become they need to do makeup or become more skinny, because they see a lot of people on the social media like they are pretty and skinny, so they will compare themselves with others. So I think they should have a stable like identity, and then so they are not easy to be influenced by social media like standards.
If that's real tools that can edit yourself, people's image in the real life, what do you do? Like, do you edit yourself just like the photos of people on social media?
What?
If there's a real tools in the real life that you can edit yourself, so you, people edit themselves like the photo they post on social media.
You mean like the real tools can edit me in the real life?
Yeah.
And would I do that or not?
Would you do that just like photos and
Yes, of course. This will make me more pretty. Why the people doesn't do that?
this is a kind of stuff.
Yes, because you wanna like mix more better than others, to like avoiding that people to judge you or something else. I think it's kind of self-deception.
Where do you feel like is the middle on this self-expression and dishonest self-deception?
Between what?
Between like self-expression and social media and self-deception?
The difference?
Like the middle,
The
like where it's going to be at.
So self-express and self-deception. So I think, so the most better is like present your true self, like your true self, not doing like edited photo or like doing like to taking some picture, like you wanted to take some picture to looks you are like happy like every day or something else. But like I think sometimes you should to do that, because like maybe you like if you have like good experience or something else, like more people will come to like wanna to make friends with you. So I think sometimes you can do that, but not always. Not all the posts do that.